Apple, 3 a.m.
The Ambassador Fractured Timelines is an action-adventure twin-stick shooter developed by Tiny Dino Games and published by the Quantum Astrophysicists Guild. It was released on August 13, 2020 for Xbox One, Nintendo Switch, and PC. We're no strangers to indie games, but with an ambitious release underway, how does this Tiny Dino title stack up to the rest? The Eternal Fellowship has just recruited its newest member, Gregor, as an ambassador of time. After taking his oath and undergoing his training, Gregor bears witness to the destruction of the Fellowship's capital city of Tamaris from a distance. Being one of the few ambassadors left alive, Gregor must find those responsible and make them pay. It turns out that multiple parties are suspected. The Red Army, led by King Avertag, who's hell-bent on the destruction of the Fellowship since he rose to power, and the High Priestess of the Druids, who believes the powers of the Fellowship will bring the world to ruin. It's a bit hollow on story, and the game does make a decent attempt to provide lore, but at its core it's a twin-stick shooter, and you don't really play this genre for the story. The plot is really a short break between the action, and these moments are rather quick. With that said, it's an interesting take as, at least in my experience, I haven't seen many developers really pushing out a narrative in this type of game where it isn't warranted. The bread and butter of any twin-stick shooter is its gameplay, and the Ambassador didn't miss a beat in that department. Gregor takes on his enemies with martial and mana weapons. Martial weapons are thrown and recalled at no cost, and mana weapons expend mana points which gradually recharge. Each weapon and weapon type have their unique characteristics to suit different playstyles and are better suited for different situations, so switching your loadout is something to get used to. Fortunately, changing weapons is pretty easy and quick, putting you right back into the action. One thing to look out for is that as you progress, martial and mana weapons may resemble each other, so it can get confusing in a pinch which weapon you want to throw to have the desired effect. Armor is similar to your weaponry, as it also has certain pros and cons, such as increased mobility at the cost of defense and vice versa, or buffs for different playstyles. Say for example, if you like to stop time a lot or you want your weapons recalled faster. The weapon and armor combination mechanics are implemented pretty well here, and I found an answer for just about any problem I encountered in the game, even if I had to retry the level a few times to get it done. Gregor's ability to stop time is the core mechanic of the game, as he'll be using it to run through hazards like exploding bridges, avoid projectiles and enemies rushing at him, and traverse through trapdoors. This ability breeds creativity in how you want to get through the levels, making it feel like an indie Max Payne or The Matrix for me. Enemies won't rush you unless you're close enough and can target you off screen, so being quick on the draw to stop time will get you out of some sticky situations. You have your fair share of collectibles to grab along the way, and these help explain the story. I like to put a lot of stock in the replay value of a game, and the Ambassador has this in the form of achievements for added challenge. Doing things like beating a stage without getting hit or clearing it under a certain amount of time will net you badges for each stage, and that kept me busy for a good time. Bloodhenge mode is an added bonus unlocked after completing the game for those who like playing Horde mode. Overall, the gameplay in the Ambassador can be described as easy to learn but challenging to master. Whether you're playing with a controller or mouse and keyboard, the controls are pretty intuitive and responsive. However, if you're playing with a controller, you may experience some issues with the fine aiming, as your shots will have to be pixel perfect to avoid a miss. There are some additional issues with invincibility frames, where you're given very little time to recover from getting hit, so painting yourself into a corner can go south very quickly. The Ambassador is an indie game, so don't expect 4K and 120 frames per second, but it's no slouch either. The pixel art style works to the game's benefit. Colors are vibrant and muddy when they need to be to give you a good retro fabulous feel. The music is where I feel the devs could have stepped it up some. It's not bad by any means, but it's not wowing me either. It does set the tone for a fantasy game, but this is a twin-stick shooter with a fantasy coat of paint, so I could have done with some more tempo to suit the action. I have to say that my biggest beef with this game lies in the camera. I mentioned earlier that you can get targeted and rushed from off screen, and that's because the camera is too zoomed in on Gregor, so you have little time to react. You're asked out in this situation if you ran out of juice to stop time, so play wisely. Whether that's by design to keep you on your toes or it was overlooked in playtesting, you'll have to ask the devs. Whatever the case may be, it was the cause of some cheap deaths in my time with the game. If you're looking for a good indie game with some fast-paced gameplay and no-frills action, the Ambassador is just what you need. I didn't think I was gonna like it as much as I did, but with the depth and different strategy you can use to get through it, where in this kind of game you usually just shoot your way through everything. It's a surprising twist to have this type of game with a story to go along with it, so that was interesting. And I caught myself not wanting to put it down to clear one more level, so you'll definitely be getting your money's worth. It's definitely a steal for 15 bucks on Steam, so if you have to decide between lunch and a dope action game, going hungry for a bit ain't gonna kill you. What do you think about the Ambassador Fractured Timelines? Worth a try or just another indie game that'll get lost in the shuffle? Let us know in the comments below and make sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification button as it really helps us out. Thank you all so much for watching.